Senator Tillis, I don't know if your mic's on.
Better?
Better.
You may regret it. But Mr. Attorney General, thank you for being here. You know, in response to the memo, I know you've repeatedly said this is not about parents. 15 years ago, I was PTA president at my daughter's high school. Participated in a lot of school board meetings, and I still watch it on public access back in Mecklenburg County when I'm home. The basis for your memo was substantially the letter that you all received. Is that correct?
That was an important part of it, yes, Senator.
Do you think there was an empirical? I've seen some of the widely reported situations and some school board meetings, but is there really any empirical basis for? I've seen a lot of raucous school board meetings. I've participated in them. Is there really any empirical basis? Did the DOJ do any real work outside of the public reporting to say that there's a disturbing trend that required the kind of what we consider to be overreach on behalf of the DOJ?
So as I've explained, what we looked at was the letter from an organization that represents thousands of school board members and school boards, and public reports of threats of violence. And even since then, I have further read quite express threats of violence being reported.
Mr. Attorney General, I want to try and keep in time and deference to my colleagues behind me, but I know that you've said it's not about the parents. But when the DOJ releases the memo, and I think even more importantly, the press statement, I think that it does have a chilling effect on parents being willing to go and express their concerns with the direction the school board's going. When all of a sudden you think that your words and this list of crimes that the department has sent, I guess, to at least the state of Montana, others, it could have a chilling effect on people who legitimately have a concern, they want to express it, but now they may think that they come crosswise with the FBI. So I do believe that it will have a chilling effect on people whose right they have to go in, express their concerns, like a Loudoun County, a ridiculous overreach. I think that it will have that effect because the full force of the FBI is now something a parent has to think about before they go before a school board meeting to express their concerns, and they get frustrated. Like I said, they've been raucous for decades, and they will be raucous for decades to come. So I really do believe that you should seriously consider rescinding, revising a statement out there that concerns me for the parents that I want to show up to school board meetings and have the school boards held accountable. The other thing that we should talk about are the numerous examples of school board members getting caught saying audacious things. There's one thing you've seen over the past year. Think about some of the provocative statements that they said. They thought they were behind closed doors, but they were on the internet, basically ridiculing parents and pretending like they had ball control over their children's education and their future. We've got to get more parents engaged, and I think that the effect of the DOJ action is the exact opposite of that. But most of my colleagues have covered my concerns, and I agree with those that are expressed on my side of the aisle. In response to Senator Graham on immigration, you said that you did go visit the border. It sounds like you were down there mainly from the perspective of your role in the DOJ. I understand that Homeland Security is primarily responsible, but I would encourage you to go back down there and maybe we could share with you our itinerary to talk about why I do believe it should be a great concern to the DOJ. We've got almost 1.5 million asylum cases on the docket now, and it takes years to complete them. And about 80% of them are adjudicated as not having a valid claim. So doesn't that data lead you to suggest that the asylum system is being abused? I mean, just that's data from the DOJ.
So, Senator, I don't know for sure about the data, but the purpose of asylum adjudication is to adjudicate asylum.
Well, I understand that, but
allows them to make these. This is a statutory question.
I'm not an attorney.
Not a Justice Department.
I'm not an attorney. You're an accomplished judge. So I'm looking at this just from a practical standpoint. When the data says that over almost 2 million people have crossed the border illegally since January, and it is 80% likely that they're not going to have a valid asylum claim. How any reasonable person couldn't look at that and say something is being abused here. It's a gateway to get into this country, drift into these shadows, and virtually never leave the country. But here's the one that I'm most concerned with, and why I think a briefing with the same people that we met with at the border, many of the people on this committee were there when I was. Hundreds of gotaways a day getting across the border. And gotaways are not the ones that that want to be processed through asylum. They want to evade detection. They want to drift in. How on earth can we assume that there's anything but a malign purpose for them trying to evade detection? Otherwise, you just get into the system. You're going to be here for years. You're going to abuse the asylum system. They're skirting it to the tune of a couple of hundred a night. And this has been going on for months. So now we have thousands of people who came into this country. When the cartels set a pick, they'll send about 50 people over to engage the Border Patrol so that they can send another couple of hundred into our society. They're drug traffickers, they're human traffickers, they're gun smugglers, they're gang members, and they're coming in by the thousands every month. That is a DOJ problem. That is a crime in our communities problem, and it's actually making the Hispanic communities, the majority of which are coming over are Hispanic, those communities less safe. I would really encourage you to go back to the border and look at it from the perspective of your role as Attorney General and the hundreds and the thousands of illegals who are coming across our border every day, many of them drifting in and evading detection and making our communities less safe. I do have a number. I've got intellectual property, a number of implementation issues that I'm going to submit for the record. But Mr. Garland, we have a problem at the border, and the DOJ has to engage and recognize that part of that problem you're going to have to fix. We got to stop the $13 million a day that the cartels are getting for human trafficking. That's a documented number. We've got to stop the tons of fentanyl and drugs that are poisoning Americans because we have an out-of-control border situation. This is a law enforcement issue. I understand it's an immigration issue, but we have to get you, I think, read up the same way that we were the last time we were at the border. I'd really encourage you to go back down there again, talk with the people on the ground, and understand why this is going to make your job more difficult, and it's already making America much less safe. Thank you, Mr. Chair.